I think when we look at people who always come with that response in terms of there's not enough time, we have these pressures from the state, my administrator is really breathing down our backs. To that I always say, well, what is it? Well, let's look at that before all we get into that equation. What is it that you're trying to do in your classroom? And then from there, now, what are the things that you do to make sure that those things happen? Now, from there, let's look at what works, what are particular challenges, and how do we begin to address those challenges while always looking at engaging issues of racial justice as a skill-building exercise for ourselves, right? So racial justice is a skill-building exercise in terms of now shaping curriculum, now asking different questions, now allowing for student input, which are all of the things that you do anyway. But what we're really talking about when we're talking about racial justice or racial equity, we're talking about a changing of the framing, right? So how we frame the issue. So it's not about time constraints, but really about what are we trying to do, and then how do we make those adjustments, understanding what it is that we're trying to do. So do we falsely pressurize ourselves with these quote unquote requirements from the state or what have you? But what does it mean to break that down and actually go into what is it that we're looking at in terms of what we're trying to do? And now, instead of racial justice as the add-on, what would it mean to have an equity framing as the baseline? So that to change up that framing, because everybody kind of takes it on as like an extra thing. So that's how I always approach folks. When you all think about diversity, quote unquote, as an extra thing. Well, I got to teach math. And I'm saying, well, what about our space now allows us? Because when we start to do that, we really start to get into recognizing what we don't know, right? And that's why your own work becomes really important, because now here's a way to say, okay, this isn't an add-on stuff. We're talking about changing the framing of the baseline from which you operate.